Right, hello everyone. Yeah, tonight the point was to discuss this whole sequence of events running up to the Manson murders and things that happened after the main ones. Because obviously we talk about all the well, people mainly talk about the Cielo Drive and the La Bianca crimes, obviously, but there's actually there were many incidents leading up to it, and obviously we're talking about how they've lied to us about the what actually happened, what the real motive for the crimes was over the years, and there was sort of things were covered up because people generally don't know about all the other crimes that these people were involved in. They find it hard to believe, but if you look at the whole sequence of events, it's actually quite easy to believe that these crimes were about drugs. So that was yeah, the point of, and I've done a playlist of live streams about the Manson murders. And yeah, all these events that I've mentioned here, I've done a stream about where I've shown whatever crime reports exist and as much information about each of these incidents as I can, sort of thing. And yeah, so this is the diagram that I made earlier today. You see, it starts with the Mendocino witches incident, which is where a few of the girls, whilst Charlie and the other girls were staying at Dennis Wilson's house, a few of the girls go up to Mendocino. And yeah, this is Susan Atkins is pregnant when she goes up there as well. I think she has her baby while she's in Mendocino, doesn't she? And yeah, and Mary Bruner and Patricia Krenwinkel. Oh, and who were the other two? Got their names here. Mary Bruner, Stephanie Rowe, Ella Jo Bailey. Yeah, and they lure these young males into the home of Alice Ostrom Price and give them LSD, basically. And a kid goes home saying his legs are like snakes, and his mother goes nuts and calls the police, and they get nicked for supplying LSD to minors, basically. That's the Mendocino witches incident. But there was because they got put into jail, the baby got taken into care. Michael Bruner, the baby, Pooh Bear, as they called him at the time, gets taken into care. And this is when Roger Smith, Charles Manson's ex-probation officer, he wasn't his probation officer at this point, but he takes care of their baby while they're in jail over this. While Mary's in jail over this incident. And then the next significant event that happens where there's arrest reports is Charles Watson taking this Belladonna, well, what he thought was Belladonna, it was actually Jimson weed. Well, they now call Datura. He took an overdose of that and ends up getting arrested. And so there's an account of that. And that's April 23rd, 1969, which is, a couple of months before the shooting of Bernard Crowe incident happens. And that's where Tex basically burns his ex-girlfriend and this guy Bernard Crowe for $2,000. And Charlie has to go and try and sort the situation out, and he ends up shooting Bernard Crowe. And that's on July the 1st, 1969. And then by July the 27th, Bobby Beausoleil kills Gary Hinman. And it takes them quite a few days to discover Gary Hinman's body and finally arrest Bobby Beausoleil, but he gets arrested on August the 6th. And so then the Cielo Drive murders happen on the 8th of August, 1969, obviously, and the La Biancas the next night, the 9th of August. And then the Spahn Ranch raid happens. They get raided on August the 16th. And after that, Shorty Shea gets murdered. And they all run to Barker Ranch, or the ones that haven't already been arrested over the Bobby Beausoleil murder go on the run to Barker Ranch after that raid. And that's where Manson is finally arrested. That's where they finally get Charles Manson in the Barker Ranch raid. So yeah, you can see it's like there's far more to it than just Cielo Drive and the La Biancas. I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere that this happened. And like I say, it's really interesting to look at all these things. I put all this together and the streams explaining all these different events because it just enriches the conversation and the debate about these things if you know more about the events, basically. So I don't know what people want to talk about, really. But I've got slides for everything except the Belladonna trip one because I hadn't done the slides when I did that. I might actually redo the Texas Belladonna trip stream. So I can make that better now. Yeah, it was interesting researching all these things and looking for all the documents and all that sort of thing. And the things you find out, like we found out the picture of Rosina was fake in the Bernard Crowe incident, and she's actually an older looking and rough, tougher looking woman than you originally. They sort of portray her like a little hippie chick, but she actually was slightly older and looks quite tough. It sounds like she was pissed off as well. It wasn't just Bernard Crowe that was really pissed off with the Manson family. It was this Rosina as well, And so that was interesting, to find out the photo of her was fake. And the Manson blog found a video of Rosina Kroner, quite a recent video of her, didn't they? And she's like runs a little hippie shop by the side of a road somewhere. Yeah, and they interviewed her about something. I can't remember what it was. It was something to do with the water in their town or something, wasn't it? Yeah, but really bizarre. And what else surprised me along the way? Yeah, I haven't put Zero's death onto this timeline of events because it's not really like relevant to the crimes. It's just sort of a sad thing that happened later. But there was a fake photo of Zero as well. Well, loads of fake photos of Zero. It was really hard to actually find the photo of the real guy, but we did in the end find him. So yeah, I don't know what are people interested in talking about really, because I could talk about any of it. The Mendocino witches incident is one that doesn't get talked about a lot, and also it mentions girls that don't get mentioned later, because there's girls that were involved in all this stuff, and they seem to just have vanished into anonymity, and no one knows where they are now. Yeah, hi everyone. Hi there, Courtney. No, Jenny Chu. Who's Jenny Chu? Lee, Tracy, yeah. I really don't know. Sort of, I thought the idea of this is just to show that there's an entire sequence of events, and we spend too much time going over and over again the La Biancas and Cielo Drive when there's all these other crimes as well, and sort of the people that push the helter-skelter narrative and the idea that Cielo Drive was targeted because it was Terry Melcher's house and all that sort of thing. Sort of, they don't really want you to know about these other crimes as well, because this shows that they hung around with bikers a lot of this, and they did drugs and drug deals went wrong and all that sort of thing. So they don't want that getting out, really. Though it is out there, obviously, because these people were tried. And also, like, whenever one of these people's up for parole, whenever Bobby's up for parole, people sign petitions saying don't let him out, but they don't even really know what he did. And he was actually in jail when Sharon Tate was murdered. Do you know what I mean? He had done something else completely, and people don't know. People don't even know what he did. Is my point. And it was actually he was nothing to do with Sharon Tate or the others. And also Bruce Davis as well, looking into all this and the role everyone played and all that. Sort of Bruce Davis has sort of had a rough deal out of it, because conspiracy theorists have sort of said that he's responsible for fucking every other crime, unsolved crime that he possibly could have committed. He's been accused of doing. And when you look at what he actually did, he was present for part of Gary Hinman, wasn't he? He walked in with Charlie, and then he went back and he took the vehicles. So he was involved in the Gary Hinman thing, and he was involved with the Shorty Shea murder. And he's been in prison his whole life just for that, It's like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, people don't know the whole sequence of events, and they just know about the Tate LaBianca murders and not what led up to it. And the people that want you to just believe Charles Manson brainwashed these kids and they went and did it, and not question anything, don't want you to really think about the other events. Yeah, so Bruce Davis, has been accused of being the Zodiac murderer, hasn't he? And that the Scientology murders, because I looked into other murders that the Manson family had been accused of, just to get some streams out of that. And I did do one about the Scientology murders, and I don't think that was Bruce Davis. I think that's just ridiculous to say that Bruce Davis did that. The link between him and the girl is really, really tenuous. They did live at the same address, but she'd only moved in about 3 days before she got murdered. So the chances that she met him and all that sort of shit, I don't believe that was him. But yeah, the Mendocino witches thing, the two women that got killed there, I wonder if that could have been the Manson family, though. Because the woman that one of the women that was killed, the pregnant wife of a police officer, that police officer was involved in the arrest, and so the baby getting taken into care, basically. So I wondered if maybe that was something to do with them. That's the only one, though, that I thought was like it. Yeah, that's it. Bruce Davis wasn't smart enough to come up with the zodiac ciphers and all that. Because in that the Scientology murders thing, I didn't mention it in the stream because it wasn't in the police report, and so I don't think that it's true. I thought that it wasn't true anyway, but they said that they found a letter from the Zodiac killer in her room, the girl who was murdered. That and but I don't believe that. I think that that's just made up by conspiracy theorists, and then they connect that to Bruce Davis as well because it's assumed that Bruce Davis was the Zodiac, or a combination of Tex and Bruce. Yeah. Killing spree that occurred in Lexington. Jim Bond. Oh, what was I going to say? Yeah, there's a few murders of young women around the time that Tex and Bruce were in the area, and I wonder if Tex could have killed more people. But actually, Bruce Davis doesn't seem to be that violent though, and he wasn't one that went out like knowingly on killing sprees. He was just sort of made to accompany Charlie on certain things. I don't think that he was as violent as Tex, sort of thing. Well, like Capone. Yeah. That's it, the Mendocino witches thing as well. A lot of people haven't heard of that. They just got called that, yeah, because they freaked everyone out in the town. They thought they were witchy. And they did basically, yeah, just dealt LSD to minors. And they were supposed to have been sent on a recruiting thing. Yeah, I have got actually a document about that I can read out if people are interested in the Mendocino witches. Let me go off the screen for this actually. Right, yes, from Casey Fields. He sent me this earlier. I have permission to read it out. No sense makes sense. Copyright Casey Fields. Right, so yeah, it happened in 1968. While on a recruiting mission to Mendocino County, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Mary Bruner, Stephanie Rowe, and Ella Jo Bailey lured young males to the home of Alice Austin Price off Gershwend Road, South Navarro, near Philo and Boonville, California. These girls gave male minors drugs and seduced them into group sex. A local mother called the police after a 17-year-old son, Alan Rosenthal, returned home under the influence of LSD. When the police arrived, Alan was tripping out, saying his legs were like snakes. The mum pointed them to the Manson girls. And this was on June the 21st. On June the 22nd, the Mendocino County Sheriff's deputies raided the house, Boonville, California, and arrested 9 adults and 3 juveniles. Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Mary Bruner, Stephanie Rowe, and Ella Jo Bailey were taken into custody. They were arrested on charges of possessing dangerous drugs and furnishing dangerous drugs to minors. The local newspaper dubbed them the Witches of Mendocino. Local residents called the girls Black Magic Witches and wanted them kicked out of town. The authorities removed Pooh Bear, aka Michael Valentine Bruner, from his mother's custody and placed him in the hands of the welfare department for his protection. Also arrested in the raid were Larry. Is that supposed to be White? I think they've just misspelled that. Larry White, 18, Donald Blake, 18, Peter Hornbluth, 18, Robert Boomsey, 18, and the 3 17-year-old boys were taken into juvenile hall for possession. Roger Smith, who had been removed as Manson's parole officer in 1968. Roger and his wife Carol Smith drove up to Mendocino and petitioned the court to take custody of baby Michael, and they cared for the child for 8 weeks while his mother was in jail. Smith also testified for Atkins and Bruner to be released from parole. Then there's links to the sources for all this by those things. What I'll do is I'll put this in my Dropbox folder and I'll upload it in my group if people are interested. And also on June the 21st, Susan Atkins' probation was terminated, which is interesting, and she was arrested with fake identification. Right, so that's basically what they got arrested for. Yeah. Yeah, I think something weird went on with Crowe that we're not told about. I think that they did settle it with Crowe and we're just not told for some reason. Because I can't understand why there was no. Totally changing the subject. We're going on to Crowe. Yeah, Crowe. Yeah, because he was threatening to death to everyone there, and did the straight Satans get hold of them? I don't know. Yeah. Who else did they have to pay? But Charlie always had loads of money, like because in the Spahn Ranch raid report, it said the guy in the June buggy shop said Charlie was always walking in there with huge wads of money and spending large amounts of money on June buggies. So it's like it's really bizarre. Yeah, no, it is definitely the same Roger Smith. Yeah, it's the one that was the probation officer. So that was one of the things I found weird that a probation officer would take care of the baby like that. That he was that close to them. But I don't really think it means that much. He just liked them, found them interesting or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, they drove all the way to Mendocino to petition the court for that as well. So they must have really, had a soft spot for them or whatever. Or was it CIA? I'll let you decide. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure though. I think it was just he liked them for some reason, or he wanted to study them. He was studying them as well, wasn't he? He did write a thing on them. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I wonder why Charlie did that so ham-fisted the way he did, and ended up shooting Bernard Crowe. Because if Tex turned up, why didn't Tex just fucking Charlie just take the money off Tex, and give it back to Crowe? Yeah, instead of going in, with a gun and threatening to shoot him. Unless he'd already spent it, had he run off and spent it on something else already that we don't know about? Oh, hello, Linz. Haven't seen you around for ages. Oh no, I hit the wrong comment. There you go, Linz. Might say. Yeah, so that's like the medicine. That's not all that there is in this document, because there's more about when they're in court, and there is a report. You can find a report. I think it's on the Manson blog about Mary Bruner, because for some reason when they were arrested, they all gave fake names like they normally do, or some of them gave fake names. I've got a arrest report somewhere. I'll go in the slides and find it. But for some reason, Patricia Krenwinkel said she was the mother of the baby, and there was a reason why they did that. Yeah, but when they did the probation, the court report on Mary Bruner, they're really, really harsh, and they say really horrible things about her, and they say they're trying to get the child taken away from her permanently. I think basically, it's horrible. But for some reason, I can't remember why, but there was some reasoning for it that they gave. That Mary said, Patricia was the mother of the baby, for some reason. Getting the slides up. Right, yeah, that's the arrest warrant thing, isn't it? I think. You see there, that's got the fake names they gave on it. Yeah, these are the newspaper reports at the time about the girls. And Susan calls herself Sadie Mae Glutz. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, but they give fake names like they always did when they got arrested, probably because they had other things. Had other, arrest warrants or whatever. And Susan was on probation, wasn't she? What was that? So I did read that out at the time, because Squeaky had some kind of. These are all this is all the ones that were actually there anyway. So these two, Ella Jo Bailey and Susan Scott, you don't hear so much about, do you? And Mary Bruner as well. I'd like to do a whole thing just about her, because she sort of got away with a lot. Though she did do time later, because she was involved with the gun thing, wasn't she? The gun shop shootout or whatever they had. Her and Gypsy went to prison later for that, but they didn't do as long in prison, did they? Yeah. I wonder where the boys are. Yeah, if they're still alive, and if they would talk about it, it would be interesting to interview them, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, they probably would have done that, wouldn't they? Yeah, they'd have given a name that matched whatever fucking fake credit card they were using and that sort of thing. Yeah. Suzanne Scott. Yeah, I've not heard much about her. Or Ella J. Bailey. No, I don't think she did. I don't know, because I know she obviously had hormone problems, didn't she, as well, because of all the hair. So I wonder if she had PCOS or whatever. If she maybe couldn't get pregnant. I think she did this one for the. This was for the video is called "The Murders of Clyda Delaney and Nancy Warren," because I wanted to do a thing about them because they're horrible murders. And these women were just, they were strangled to death with bootlaces. Someone tied bootlaces around their neck. A pregnant woman and her mother were just brutally killed with, strangled to death. Horrible. And and the pregnant woman was the wife of one of the policemen who was involved in this arrest. But then I've seen other people discussing this and sort of debunking that and saying that seems like a bit of a stretch. Because how could they have held him personally accountable? Because it would have to be for the baby getting taken away, revenge for that. But and why him? Why that officer? Why wouldn't you go after the judge or something like that? Well, I suppose just because it was the only person they could find or whatever. Who knows? Yeah, a lot of these photos, mugshots, they've been chopped off. That photo of Ella J. Bailey, you can only find that. Like that, but it's probably because she was holding up the board, and I don't know why. For some reason, someone's cropped the board out. The mugshots. Suzanne Scott. I can't remember if it was Ella J. Bailey. I think it might have been the one they call Little Patty. I read somewhere recently that she ended up in an insane asylum after Zero shot himself. Hello, Lyra. Lisa. Yeah. Yeah, they were massive credit card fraudsters as well. That's another thing that Bernard Crowe was involved in. He ended up going to prison later for being involved in a massive credit card fraud ring. So I wonder if he knew the family through that as well, because they did a lot of credit card fraud. And he is supposed to have been known to the family. And he lived on the same road as Mama Cass as well, I found out. Oh, so Susan Scott's name is also Stephanie Rowe. Is that like her real name? And Susan Scott's her alias? Yeah. I think that was all the slides I had for this, and the rest are all just about Clyda. Yeah, these are about Clyda Delaney. Yeah, but this was the grandmother and her daughter. Like say something, someone just snuck up on them and strangled them for no apparent reason. Didn't even steal anything. Her handbag had been turned out onto the bed, but nothing was taken. It was just really bizarre. And the only thing is, but her kids believe it was her new husband. Her new husband did it somehow. But yeah, I wonder actually if it's one of the only crimes that the Manson family have been accused of. Other crimes that I thought, oh, maybe. The other ones I looked at, it was like, no. I don't think it was them. I think they're clutching at straws. And they saw, there was a load of hippie guys seen getting in and out of a van, saying something sinister. But all the description of them given is just, like long-haired men. So that could describe like probably about 50% of the population at that time of young men, couldn't it? So like that doesn't really narrow it down very much. Yeah, if you watch the stream though, the Mendocino Witches incident one, it's the first one in the playlist now. I read out the articles about the Clyda Delaney and Nancy Warren murders. It's horrible. Yeah, well, this is the thing. Yeah, people think because Dennis Wilson claimed that he saw Charlie shoot a black guy in half with a machine gun or something crazy like that, doesn't he? But they said it's thought that he's just totally exaggerating the Bernard Crowe thing, and he didn't see it. Dennis Wilson wasn't there when he did it. So yeah, I think this Dennis Wilson saying that he saw Charlie shoot someone is probably just a massive over exaggeration of the Bernard Crowe thing. And that didn't happen, yeah. Yeah, because that's Dennis Wilson said he saw him shoot the guy almost in half with a machine gun and then dispose of his body down a well. So was there a well on the ranch? I don't know. Probably was though. Probably would have been because it was an old ranch, wasn't it? You look at Shorty Shea a bit more as well, yeah, because it's after they killed Shorty Shea because they believed he was the snitch, I think, wasn't it as well? And also he just didn't like them very much. Yeah, he disapproved of the way they lived and all that sort of crap. And also, there's supposed to have been a guy who wanted to buy the ranch, who was a friend of George Spahn, who had tried to hire Shorty Shea to clear them off the ranch, and they found out about it as well. It was 10 days after the raid, so after they've done all the murders. All of them, yeah, this is Nicholas. So this guy, Frank Retz, he's the dude that was trying to buy the ranch, and he had apparently tried to pay Shorty Shea to clear them off the ranch. Was that it for the pictures then? Yeah, I just had the pictures of Frank Retz. Yeah, no, it won't upload anything tonight. It's useless. Yeah, well, apparently Retz was a Nazi. Yeah. And he wanted to open it and run it as a German-American friendship centre, whatever the hell that means. That'd be interesting. He's terrified after threatening his son. That's due to his career. Well, yeah, well, it would have ruined the band for his brothers, wouldn't it? Because apparently he didn't even really play the drums or anything. It was all just, there was someone from the Wrecking Crew or whatever that played the drums. But they were worried it would wreck the Beach Boys. But Dennis Wilson's also supposed to have just beat the shit out of Charlie anyway. He threatened his son. I don't know if he did feel that threatened. Really, but then I've heard that isn't true as well. That they exaggerated that. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about more. Like I say, I've done a stream for each of these things. I didn't realise that not all the slides were in my slides. I'll have to run this stream again another time. Once I've got all the slides uploaded. But yeah, like I say, for each of these events there is a stream that you can find in the playlist. What, that Frank Retz was wearing? A ridiculous outfit, yeah. PCP laced drugs. Yeah, well, I'm just reading the Acid King about the Acid King murders, and it's Say You Love Satan, the crappy book that just is like a joke more than actually a factual account. In that, they were saying they were putting PCP in the joints, but the people knew it. It wasn't just laced with it. The people knew it, but yeah, they do that. I've heard of that. Yeah, the bloody weed being dipped in PCP or whatever. Yeah, cowboy hat and lederhosen. It's odd, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, he has lederhosen. But yeah, this is the guy who wanted them off. He was a friend of George Spahn from Germany and went to buy the ranch and set it up as a German-American friendship centre, as the ranch wasn't making any money out of giving the horse rides. He still had Nazi beliefs, so obviously did not like seeing the way the family and the bikers were living at the ranch, so he hired Shorty Shea to evict them. They had this conversation in George Spahn's house, and Annette Fromy Squeaky apparently overheard this and alerted Charlie. Frank felt guilty over this as he felt he had caused Shorty's death. And she does actually mention Frank Retz in her book. Yeah, she just sort of says he was horrible. But she doesn't say that, yeah, obviously this is why they killed Shorty Shea, but she does talk about him. She says he was nasty and he didn't like them, basically, yeah. I don't know, possibly, because there were several, weren't there? I know there was meant to be ones in Laurel Canyon as well, weren't there? Which is not far away from this one, is it? This is Topanga Canyon, isn't it? But it's not far away. I know there was supposed to be quite a lot of them, weren't there? Dave McGowan talks about one that's still out there. It's like a ruin now, but it was set up with enough drinking water to keep them for years and shit like that. It was a really, like, a place where you could, like, go and run and stay for years. And that was supposed to be to do with, yeah, people that came over from Germany after World War II. Yeah, StreamYard is really annoying for not uploading stuff. It just, the uploads just fail repeatedly, and you just have to keep trying until eventually it does upload. It wouldn't upload the songs that I had earlier. I've got new songs to play at the beginning. Oh, Murphy's Ranch they built out as a Nazi camp as well. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to hopefully do a whole stream or a few streams about the Acid King stuff. Yeah, I'm just trying to read as much as possible about it and find out. Like, so there's another book that's on Amazon that I want to read, because Say You Love Satan is just ridiculous, but it does give you some kind of idea of what happened at least. So it reads just so badly, and the dialogue in it just sounds ridiculous. It's like, what a straight person thinks drunk people sound like, sort of thing, and he makes wild speculation, the stuff he just can't possibly have known, that he puts in. It's just fucking, it's like a novel. It reads like a script for a terrible TV movie of what happened, sort of thing. But there's a better book. It's sounds like it's based more off, the accurate account. And I think you can get the police reports and the police interviews and for that, can't you? So I want to read all that. Look at it before I do any sort of presentation on it. But the thing that struck me about that case as well is they walked. Well, Ricky Kasso died, didn't he? Obviously, he killed himself. But they all walked, and basically it was because Jimmy Troiano's lawyer made the point that none of them could remember who did what, so there's no reliable account of who did anything, And so that's why the rest of them walked. They just blamed it on the dead kid, and the others have left, But it's like if these crimes were tried for what they actually were, then they would have walked as well for that reason, because of the drug psychosis they had, and because these were just drug murders and they were so young, they were kids, you know what I mean? They might have, oh, for God's sake. Sorry, it nearly uploaded then. It was really, really right up at the end. Trying to upload this Bernard Crowe thing. I'll try once more to upload it. Was it your birthday, Capone? Happy birthday. Murphy's Ranch was the Topanga Canyon Nazi bunker that may have inspired the Hole in the Desert story. Wow. Yeah, like I said, there's one that was mentioned that Dave McGowan used to talk about. Well, I remember before he wrote the book, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, there was just a website called Center for Informed America. And he mentioned it on there, so I don't know if he goes on about it in Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. But his stuff's all about Laurel Canyon, isn't it? Which is not the same as this one. Well, it's near it, though, isn't it? They're a similar area. Yeah, thanks for coming to the stream on your birthday as well, then, Capone. Yeah, like I say, I would like to do the Texas Belladonna trip one again. I might try doing that next week, because for the original one, there was hardly any audience. I was really ill as well when I recorded it. I had a wisdom tooth infection, so I was on high dose painkillers. There was no one in the audience. I just sat there reading it out, talking to myself. But yeah, it's interesting stuff, and it's actually talked about quite a lot in his psychiatry report, because they cite it as a reason that he had brain damage for a reason why he was acting the way he was in prison, You've erased the racial divide history in LA until you lived there. Sundown Towns, Glendale's HQ for American Nazi Party. Simi Valley, etc. I don't know what there was actually Nazis in America, was there? Because yeah, that Frank Retz guy was a guy that came over from with Operation Paperclip sort of thing, I assume. So like he was a German Nazi that had settled there. I didn't realize that you actually had a Nazi party in America as well. We have well they're not. They don't call themselves Nazis. We have the equivalent sorts of parties. In Pasadena. Oh, I can't remember what prison. Not prison. What jail he got sent to. Because I haven't got slides for that as well. I think it might have been. Final analysis of what? The whole situation, the whole timeline of events. Well, yeah, where you can just see how much all of these other events are linked to drugs. So yeah, it suddenly becomes not hard to believe that Cielo Drive and the La Biancas were somehow over drugs as well, doesn't it? And that they lied somehow about the motive for those murders. Oh, God, I've been having technical difficulties the whole time as well. Yeah, we've got to try and find out where was he. Pasadena says he's arrest report somewhere. That's his famous mugshot. People say he's grinning. I don't think he is grinning. Look at the size of his pupils as well. You can see how big his pupils are. He's not grinning. I think he's jaw-locked because the atropine poisoning that he had, it causes limb paralysis. And there's actually fear in his eyes. He's not smiling. It's very painful the way his jaw's locked and all that sort of shit. He's saying he couldn't talk because his jaw wouldn't move. Oh, does this tell you? It's just his fingerprint. Oh, what? Sorry, trying to see if I can find out where he was taken. No, it doesn't say what station they took him to. No, that's an account of... As like I say, yeah, I have done a stream that's already up about this, and I'll have to do a better one. Yeah, see, that doesn't look like Jimson weed, does it? That's a Belladonna plant. Huh. Anyway, yeah, I might end this stream now and come back and do an after stream. And yeah, this will have to be edited heavily because there was loads of gaps, wasn't there, where I don't say anything. But yeah, the whole point of this is just to like draw attention to the fact, that there's all these different events that happened, and then it's important to be familiar with them. And there's more to know about this case as well, like how they all got together, how long certain girls were with them, and how recently some had arrived as well. Well, if you're believing that they were all brainwashed soldiers of Manson, like why was Linda only there for 1 month? How long did it take? And why weren't other girls that were that had been with him far longer? Why didn't they go if he was brainwashing them and they were all under his control? Why would these things go in this way, work in this way? Through the chat. Before I finish the stream, see if anyone's got anything else to say. Yeah, I do think they were influenced by him, and they wanted his approval, didn't they? They wanted him to notice them and give them attention as individuals. They fought for his attention, sort of thing, and he knew it, and he enjoyed it, I think. If you read Squeaky's book, Sandy, the stuff Sandy says shows this quite a lot, Yeah, anyway. I'll end this one now and I'll come back and do an after stream, then we can just chat more randomly. Because, yeah, I don't want to have to edit too much out of this if I'm just sitting there saying nothing. But, yeah, check out the entire playlist of all the different events that happened in the Charles Manson case to understand the bigger picture. And, yeah, I have a Facebook group. There's many different groups and forums over the internet discussing this case if you want to find out more about it and understand why people question the official narrative on it and how much evidence there is, and it isn't just all a conspiracy theory. What some of the CIA stuff stumbles off into the weeds a lot, and like the CIA didn't really need to be involved. It's more just about drug deals going wrong and drug dealing, the age-old story of drug dealing going wrong. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and if you want convincing, have a look at these other streams and the documents that exist. And, I'm not the only person saying this. And there's documents to back up a lot of this stuff. I mean, there's obviously stuff that we can only speculate about, and it's anecdotal because people weren't, there's no official arrests or whatever. But there's a lot to know about this case that they try and keep covered up. So, become more well informed about it. Because if they lied about this, what else could they have lied about? If the whole world believed that this was all because Charles Manson brainwashed some kids using acid, then what else could they have convinced the world was true when it really wasn't? Anyway, yeah, I'll end this now and I'll come back for an after stream if people want to chat. Anyway, but thanks for watching, everyone. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching this on playback. Right. Good night.